You are now listening to The Radio Show.
All right, so one of the things I want to talk about is how, like, there's no gentleman's code apparently with Irv Gotti, and he's still hurt that Ashanti isn't checking for him or wasn't checking for him. And I don't know if you saw the interview on Drink Champs, but he basically was going in on Ashanti. She doesn't bother anybody. And then what was more disturbing was that her brother, Ja Rule, just stood by and watched Irv Gotti be very disrespectful to Ashanti. So you guys just take a look and, listen to this and see, how you feel about it.
I can get past you wanting to be with Nelly. Listen, at the time it happens, any man,
yeah, of course,
is hurt. Yeah, right. The chick you fucking are in love with is with this nigga. You wanna hear how I found out? I was at home. Okay. Listen to this shit. This is God wanted me to find out. I was at home. NBA package. I like watching sports. Oh my God, what's this commotion going on in the stadium? We just found out what the commotion is. Nelly has walked in with Ashanti. Because here's what I suggest happened. She went in the studio and tried to redo Baby, Baby, Baby. She probably went in the studio, tried to recreate this, and fell drastically short. With people saying that don't sound like the what they did.
Yes.
I need my stems. You know what stems are.
Yes.
So you want me to give you the stems of your whole album now after 20 years. So you're saying you need it for shows. Right. You want to take my stems and now you're going to fucking be able to remake your album. Oh, I still eat off of it because I own the publishing.
Okay. Jesus.
Okay? Yes. And let me, when she be on the shows and she's like, I'm going to spritz it up and jazz it up. Is this the camera?
Yes.
Ashanti, you cannot spritz it up. You cannot jazz it up. The minute you put some spritzy and jazz it up, it's not a cover. So when it's not a cover, now it has to come back to me to clear it. If you change anything, it reverts back to the writers to clear it.
Wow.
Let me just give you the answer now. No!
So you guys saw that, right? So two things that are a problem here. We're all tight, right? There's no way, I don't care who I'm around or with or whatever, especially because you guys are brothers, like, you guys would definitely never sit and let someone else be extremely disrespectful to the other one. Like, you could say something about your brother, but that doesn't mean you're gonna let someone else sit over here and call him out his name.
Yeah. Like I can call my brother an asshole, but nobody else can call him an asshole because he's my asshole.
Exactly. He's your asshole. So that's why a lot of people, and I just feel like we're all cool. Like, I give 16 a hard time, but I'll be damned if someone else that I don't really know is going to give him a hard time. Absolutely not. I would shut the whole interview down and be like, hey, listen, I mean, you're going to have to chill out with all of that. And if you can't chill out, interview over, period. Like, you know what I'm saying? So Ja Rule had the audacity to say that he doesn't get into grown folks' business. And I'm like, dude, it wasn't about getting into grown folks' business. It's just like, as a culture, there used to be like a respect code for women. It's like, you're coming at her about stuff that's like 20 years old and you were married at the time anyway. So it's like, why did you feel the need to call her a bitch though? And my thing is, I've seen gentlemen stop another man and say, listen, you can continue your story, but you don't need to call her out her name. She's not even that kind of woman. She's doesn't even carry herself like that, right? So let me ask you, do you feel like, since Ja Rule says he rock with her so hard, do you feel like there is a responsibility, if you're that supposed to be that tight with someone, that you're supposed to stick up for them when someone is disrespecting them? Like, do you think Ja Rule should have asked Irv Gotti to stop calling Ashanti out of her name? Like, do you think he was right or wrong for that?
Well, it's a couple things with that, Diva. Let's concentrate first on your question, but then I'm gonna lead to something else that. So should Ja Rule have stepped in if he's disrespected her and they're cool like that? The answer is yeah, he should. If they're like you just said, you know, yes, you and I, we have our spats with each other, but that's between us because we're close like that. But I'm not gonna stand for anybody else saying that to you. Like, hey, you just like you said, you're gonna have to calm that down, you know, because regardless of what's going on, that's still my people, and you're not just gonna talk to her like that. I understand y'all got y'all thing, but you know, she and I are cool, so you might have to, you know, pump the brakes on the stuff that you're saying. And plus, it's old; it's 20 years ago. The other half of that we haven't discussed is that, and I'll be the first one to admit, men can have a real ego trip when it comes to women because we feel like when we've been with y'all, for whatever reason, we feel like you stop breathing the moment we stop dealing with you. And how dare you continue on with life, breathing and living without me around? And that seems like what he's dealing with. Like Ashanti out there doing her thing. You know, she just got a star on the Walk of Fame. You know, she's doing fine for herself, you know? And he's like, wait a minute, what about me? I mean, you're supposed to still care about me. I'm Irv Gotti. You're going to love on me. What are you doing? What? And a lot of guys can't deal with that. They feel like the sun rises and sets on their ass and that no man could compare to them ever. So it's like he's dealing with that syndrome. Like, bro, she's moved on and forward. And as a matter of fact, was anybody even talking about Irv Gotti before all this? I mean, this is 2022, right? Not 2002, right? I'm just checking. So there's part of the problem right there. So I'm just putting that out there that he's having a little bit of a male ego problem, that she's not fainting because, you know, she ain't sweating him no more. There you have it.
Yeah, dang. I think, you know, to answer the first part of your question, yeah, if he say, oh yeah, that's my little sis and we rock together and this and this and that, if he ain't say nothing, then yeah, that's foul on his part. You know, like he should have said something or kind of should have stepped in or, you know, something. And I think to the other point with Irv Gotti, like, we all know who Ashanti is. We've seen her. She still looks great at 40, whatever. Yeah, if I used to mess around with Ashanti or we used to be a thing and I'm not with her no more, yeah, I'm gonna feel some type of way too. And that's what that is. That's some good old, man, I messed up, or I really wish I would have did XYZ to keep her. He just missed her. That's what that is. And I don't blame him. I would miss her too. If I had her and now I don't have her no more. Like, yeah, I'd be right there with you, drinking a bunch of drinks with a bunch of guys and talking about, man, yeah, we used to mess around and this and that, you know, shit. I'd be talking some shit too, but you know, that's whack on his part. He really should have just, you know, like you said, he didn't have to say all them other words, and name calling and all this other stuff. He could have just kept it at, you know, hey, we had our time together. I wish her the best. I hope she's doing well, whatever.
I'm just like, aren't you like 60? Like, why are you being disrespectful and still calling women
really
out of their name? I mean, have you seen him? He looks 60. Like, I mean, when he was dealing with her, I think she was like in her early 20s. Like, I don't think she was even 25. And she was just like, I don't want to do this no more. And the thing that was funny to me is that she threw up some kind of sign and was like, I'm done. Like, you know.
That's one thing too. Dang. That's one thing too. When a woman is done with you, when they've reached that point, they done with you, dog. Because Lord knows they've given you plenty of chances, or, you know, made a bunch of excuses for you. But once they done with you for good, man, it's over with.
Yeah, dudes don't be listening to the signs, man, because she been telling you, she been dropping little breadcrumbs along the way to let you know, hey, you know, in a minute, this is about to be a wrap. But I don't understand the need to bring this up right now. Like, was he like flipping the channels and like one of the videos came on? He was like, man, that used to be me, you know?
I think the question came up because, you know, Ashanti could not get her master's, I don't believe, from him. So she was redoing all of her songs in order to get the rights to her songs. And he was like, no, yeah, it doesn't really matter. Like, whatever she does, I'm not going to clear anything for her to be able to own her stuff. And it's like, once again,
Man, that's petty,
that's
man.
super freaking petty. And you just look really ignorant. And like,
But even that's the case, like if that's what it was, right? Just leave it at that. You ain't got to bring up
correct.
your relationship or any of this other
Correct.
stuff.
And you just mad because she really didn't try to claim you in these streets, bruh. And you had the audacity to be like, oh, she's not the reason my wife and I divorced. There was other women that were the reason that me and my wife divorced. And I'm like, bro, that's not any better. Like you just said that you're basically like, why would a woman who positions herself as a classy woman, like, one, be seen with you in the streets and associate with you in the streets, and two, why would she want to be connected to you when you're out here for the streets, literally being a male whore, causing problems in your own relationship and your marriage, and then you think she wants to be connected to that?
So is that where this whole thing came out, was the fact that she wanted to get her master's and he's being paid? Like, why 20 years later is this a new subject? Because if we want to rank culturally relevant right at this point, Ashanti is light years ahead of what Irv Gotti has going on. And I don't understand.
The interviewer asked a question off that, oh, okay, so the reason that Irv Gotti even got into this conversation with Ashanti is because Noriega asked him a question on the show, like, how do you feel about like Ashanti and her records? And he just kind of asked him about that whole situation. And then that's when, you know, he went off and started acting like a little bitch.
Yeah. You'll never see a dude sicker in life than when he has somebody good and she's not around no more. It's the most pitiful thing because the male ego just cannot handle it. And for him in his mind, with him being an alpha male, like, Easy, you know about this, bro, and you can speak to this when it comes to athletes. The sport athlete who is not in his prime anymore is the last one to know. We can see you watched on TV from a mile away, but in his head, like, I hate to use this dude as an example, but I'm gonna. Russell Westbrook, he done, bro, he done. And he the last one to know it. He don't know, and he's done. And like Irv Gotti is still living in his head like it's 2000 or 2001 when Ja Rule was ruling the airwaves. You're not relevant in music like that anymore. And it's just the case. And, you know, for somebody like me, he's like, well, who are you to say that? What have you done or whatever? I'm like, seems like we're on pretty equal footing right now at this point. So I'm just saying, what's the point of even, I understand Nori asked the question, but you know, you could be a man about it and just like no sell that. Like, oh, you know, it's not a big deal. You know, she won her master's, and you could have just been a man and be like, I don't have no problem with her having it. It's all good. Instead of being petty, like, you know.
But that would require him to have character, and he don't have character if you out here talking about an affair that you had with a woman, not to mentioning the other affairs you had on your wife. I believe he was married allegedly at the time. So you coming out talking about Ashanti during this time, you had a whole wife, dude. So that's disrespectful in itself. You're crying about a chick when you were married. Like, I can't imagine how his wife feels that he's going on and on about someone that he wasn't even supposed to be having any kind of romantic dealings with.
That part too. But I'm sorry I have to do this again. But we're talking about Ashanti. Look at the screen. We're talking about Ashanti here. Okay.
You know what? I always said, like, if I was in a relationship and I got cheated on with someone who looked amazing, I would have to be like, I see how you did that. Women actually want to say, I see how you did that. But most men cheat down. So you'd be like, you did that? Are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah, but you got to
think about Ashanti. I'd be like, damn. There's
a bro code side of it too, though, right? Like,
really?
Like,
enlighten us.
So, for example, like if you mess around with somebody of Ashanti's caliber, right?
Right.
And she says, hey, you can't tell nobody about this, or we're done. We're not doing this anymore. You gotta shut your ass up. You got one or two homies that you can tell that you know ain't gonna say nothing, and that's it.
Fact.
I ain't tell nobody. She said nobody, it means nobody. Bro, I wouldn't even tell you, dog.
That's what I'm saying. At max, you might tell a homie or two that you know ain't gonna say nothing. But my point is, there's a bro code side of it too. Like, I guess my question is, why would you even say that? Like, obviously they don't mess around anymore. Or they're not together.
He was mad because, like, he even said, like, in one of the clips, and if we find it, we'll play it for you guys, where he was just basically like, she never claimed him. Like, she never made it public that
that hurt. Why you talking about that?
Ego. Bro, I would have never said nothing, but his pride and his ego, like, she looked good as hell. I think she's like over 40 now. Like,
that's what I'm saying. She's like at least 41, and I
don't get it.
She looked amazing.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. Maybe I've been out the game. I've been married for a long time, but I'm just saying, in my mature mind, I'm saying to myself, I seen her naked. I don't need the streets to know that. I know it, and that's enough.
Right.
That's enough.
That would require you to be mature a lot, and that's something else I think we could segue into, is that a lot of these rappers, like, I feel like have Peter Pan syndrome, where they never want to freaking grow up, and they always want to do this little kid shit forever. Like, I want to be a 23-year-old rapper forever. Like, just the way they dress, the way they act, the way they talk. It's so immature, the way they feel entitled, the way they feel like women really checking for them forever. Like, they all got a rude awakening. Like, literally, Irv, have you looked in the mirror? Like, you're old, dude. Like, old. Simmer down. Like,
you got to weigh it on a scale. You got to think about it for a second. Like, if you're a woman and Diva, you could answer to this. You can weigh it on a scale. Which one of them you going to claim in public? Nelly or Irv Gotti? Let's weigh it on a scale.
Neither.
You are now listening to The Radio Show.
Like I said, somebody just go out there and check on James Earl Jones and let me know if I need to Uber him some juice or some soup or something. I'm glad to do
Why
it.
you sending that man some juice like he can't eat solid food? Like, let me send him some
Like he in a nursing home or something.
You're listening to The Radio Show on YouTube and all other podcast providers.